Right now, you may be feeling inflation as you stock up ahead of Halloween. How candidates on the campaign trail are promising to fill that hole in your wallet. Plus, Vice President Kamala Harris in Wisconsin, the billionaire guest she brought with her on the campaign trail. And feeding those in need, how you can help a local food bank's mission of combating food insecurity. It's all ahead on News 3 now at 10. Well, the price of groceries has been on many minds, especially in the lead up to the election. And as people stock up on sweets for Halloween, they might be feeling it a bit more. But how bad is this inflation, and what will candidates do to actually bring the prices down? Our Braden Ross set out to find out.
Spooky season is here. And when the trick-or-treaters come knocking, they'll be expecting the good stuff. But how much will it cost you to be the best house on the block?
Over the past 12 months or so, the average price of food at home has increased by about 1%. The cost of sugar and sweets has increased by about 2%, so more quickly.
You might think that's thanks to the I word we've all been hearing a lot about lately.
When we talk about inflation, we're talking about the price of all goods in the economy.
But UW-Madison economist Andrew Stevens says while food prices remain high, inflation is actually pretty good right now.
Inflation measures the rate of price increases. That inflation has come down to historic average levels. So prices are increasing much more slowly, which is what we want to see. But they're still high and they're not falling.
And there are often other factors at play. For example, right now, a global cocoa shortage is driving up the price of chocolate. The economy almost always ranks as the most important issue to voters this election cycle, and both candidates have made bringing down prices a central issue in their campaigns. But Stevens warns you should be wary of big promises.
The president has a lot less control over consumer prices than people think.
Vice President Harris has said she'd go after price gouging to bring down costs.
We talk about price ceilings or things like that. And the history of those kind of policies is not great.
Former President Trump has said he'd introduce sweeping tariffs.
The winners from tariffs are domestic producers of the good. The losers are the people who would want to sell those products that we would be importing, and consumers who are facing a higher price.
So as you stock up on spooky sweets, what do you need to know about the price tag?
Prices tell us a lot of information, and they can help us be more efficient consumers. Changing how you shop because of how products are priced is how the economy is supposed to work.
Reporting in Madison, Braden Ross, News 3 Now.
Mortgage rates are on the rise again after a short reprieve. Freddie Mac said this week's average rate on a standard 30-year mortgage was 6.44%. Rates have increased now for 3 weeks and are well above the 2-year low that we saw a month ago. They are still more than a percentage point lower compared to 1 year ago. Weekly jobless claims fell last week. Federal government says first-time applications for unemployment decreased by 19,000 to 241,000. That also accounts for the effects of Hurricanes Milton and Helene. Economists expected those events to push claims higher. Meanwhile, continuing claims rose by 9,000 to 1.87 million. Americans are still opening their wallets despite years of elevated inflation. According to new government data, spending at U.S. retailers climbed 0.4% in September from the prior month. The largest increase was seen at specialty stores, clothing stores, and at health and personal care shops. Sales at bars and restaurants also rose 1% last month. Consumer spending makes up about 70% of the U.S. economy. Drought conditions continue to worsen here in southern Wisconsin. Let's go to Jacob on the patio for more on these dry conditions ahead.
Yeah, we really aren't going to see a big end in sight to the dry weather, so we're likely going to see that drought condition continue. Now, as we take a look at what we're seeing right now, 53 degrees is the current temperature, mostly clear skies. Definitely feels a bit chilly out here. And looking at the temperatures across the region, lower 50s and some 40s already, and most of our areas should drop into the 40s by the time we get to tomorrow morning. But despite it feeling pretty chilly, we're actually pretty well above what we saw at this time yesterday. A lot of our area over 10 degrees warmer, and we're going to continue to see temperatures warm up as we head into the weekend. Now, looking at tonight's forecast, we're going to see clear skies, lows in the lower 40s, maybe right around 44 a lot of the area. But high temperatures could possibly get back into the 70s the next couple of days. I'll talk more in detail about that and give you your full weekend forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, Jacob, thank you. We're now 19 days from the election. Both presidential candidates are making a lot of stops in Wisconsin to win over voters. And Vice President Kamala Harris visited La Crosse and Green Bay today, along with Milwaukee. Will Keneally has more on her message for Wisconsinites.
And just like Wisconsin's state motto tells us, we will move forward.
An homage to Wisconsin's state motto, as VP Kamala Harris spoke in La Crosse Thursday. She urged voters to move forward from Trump's leadership 4 years ago, invoking Project 2025.
It's a detailed and dangerous blueprint for what he will do if he is elected president. You know, I said many times, you've heard me say, Donald Trump is an unserious man, and the consequences of him ever getting his foot back in the Oval Office are brutally serious.
Harris's visit took her to the campus of UW La Crosse, speaking to college students and small business owners. She was introduced by businessman Mark Cuban.
This election is a battle for entrepreneurs. This election is a battle for small business.
We will help entrepreneurs and small businesses to begin and grow, because we know small businesses are part of America's backbone in terms of the strength of our economy.
The pressure is on for these candidates. It's a tight race in Wisconsin with just days to go.
So, Election Day is in 19 days.
Reporting in La Crosse, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
And tomorrow, Senator Tammy Baldwin and Republican challenger Eric Hovde will face off in the first and only debate between the two. It'll start at 7 tomorrow night, expected to last an hour, and we'll air the debate on Television Wisconsin, which is digital 3.2. You can also watch a live stream on channel3000.com. And prior to the debate, our political reporter Will Keneally will host a build-up show. Starts at 6:30 on TW and channel3000.com. He'll also host a post-debate show available exclusively online. The mother of Elijah Vu and her boyfriend have been charged now in connection with the death of the 3-year-old. The Manitowoc County District Attorney announcing Jesse Vang is facing several charges, including physical abuse of a child and repeated acts causing death. Katrina Bauer, his mother, has been charged with chronic neglect of a child resulting in death and obstructing an officer. Elijah's remains were positively identified more than a month ago.
This is an incredibly tragic situation that has shaken our community. My thoughts and deepest condolences go out to Elijah's family, who are enduring unimaginable pain.
Elijah Vu was reported missing back on February 20th by Vang, and his remains were then found on September 7th by a man preparing his land for the hunting season. An update in the case: the man charged with sexually assaulting and nearly beating a UW student to death more than a year ago, Brandon Thompson, has pleaded guilty to charges of first-degree sexual assault, first-degree reckless injury, strangulation, and suffocation. He previously pleaded not guilty to all 3 charges. The assault happened September 3rd of 2023. Police arrested Thompson days later, and he's been in jail ever since on a $1 million bond. He'll be sentenced February 6th. A new report shows Wisconsin families are behind other states when it comes to vaccination rates. Using data from the State Department of Health, the CDC compared the vaccination rates of kindergartners for the 23-24 school year to that of other states, and it found that only about 85% of students were up to date on their MMR vaccine. Nationally, that number is around 93%. The CDC says as a result of the decline, diseases like measles and pertussis have increased across the nation in recent years. A new study is looking at how many lives could be saved if more motorcyclists wore helmets. Only 17 states and Washington, D.C. have laws making it mandatory for all riders to have head protection. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety says there were more than 193,000 motorcycle fatalities from 1976 all the way to 2022. In a new report, the IIHS estimates more than 22,000 lives could have been saved if every state required all riders to wear a helmet.
Helmets cut the risk of fatality in crashes by 37%, and it cuts the risk of traumatic brain injury by 2/3. Helmet laws that cover all riders, not just ones of certain ages, are the most effective way to increase helmet use.
The IIHS says helmet use in states with all rider laws is typically 2 to 3 times higher than states without those laws. For the first time, new federal safety standards will be placed on infant support cushions. Between 2010 and 2022, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission linked infant support cushions to 79 infant deaths and 124 injuries. In an effort to prevent these deaths and serious injuries, a new rule will require products to undergo firmness testing and sidewall angle testing. Officials say these requirements will help reduce the risk of suffocation, entrapment, and falls. 1 in 10 individuals in Wisconsin is now facing food insecurity. That's more than 600 100,000 people. And here in Dane County, Second Harvest Food Bank is working to combat that, but the need for food resources continues to rise. Last year, the organization contributed $27 million worth of food. That is 20% more than the year before. Second Harvest says it can stretch a $10 donation to get $24 worth of groceries, but the food bank spokesperson says they still need more money.
Certainly the biggest limitation is our funding. You know, if we had unlimited funding, we could probably put out just about unlimited food, but that simply doesn't exist.
Some ways you can help Second Harvest mission are by volunteering or donating. You can find more information on that at secondharvestsw.org. Jacob's up next. A complete look at the summer-like temperatures in our forecast ahead this weekend, plus an end of the war in Gaza could soon be in sight. The military operation has killed Hamas's leader. We'll have more details on that strike next on News 3 Now at 10.
Biggest mattress blowout of the year is happening now at Ashley. Save up to 40% off on Nectar mattresses starting at only $349. Save up to $600 on Beautyrest Black and free delivery. This is the big one. 60-month special financing with low monthly payments at Ashley.
When my husband got throat cancer, it wasn't just a health crisis. It was a financial one for my family. And that's something rural families know all too well. Joan Ballwig voted against expanding affordable health care for rural families and against bringing drug costs down. And that's one reason I decided to run against her. I'm Sarah Kieski, and I'm running for state senate. Because when someone you love needs medical care, the last thing you should have to worry about is how to pay for it.
With high inflation, working families like mine are hurting, and Kamala Harris helped create this mess. Now, while Americans struggle, Kamala spent our tax dollars putting illegal immigrants up in hotel rooms, and she supported spending our tax dollars to give illegals sex changes. It's not just liberal, it's insane. Kamala Harris can never, ever be our president.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Under Kamala, there's been a big hike in Medicare premiums. Social Security benefits don't go far with Kamala's inflation slamming seniors. Now Kamala wants struggling seniors to pay more Social Security taxes, while she gives Medicare and Social Security to illegals. That will doom Medicare. President Trump will make sure no one cuts Medicare or Social Security. Trump lowered Medicare premiums, and he'll end the tax on Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
When you have a history of greatness, the real challenge starts after the finish line. When victory alone isn't enough, you keep dreaming and go beyond what's possible. The Ridgeline, Passport, and Pilot. Part of our most rugged lineup yet.
You have a clear choice in this election. Senator Baldwin is a 38-year career politician. I'm a businessman and job creator. She supports taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. I'll close the border. Tammy wants to put guys and girls sports in their bathrooms. I'll protect our daughters. Senator Baldwin abuses the political system. I'll fight the corruption. I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. I'd be honored to have your vote.
The biggest furniture blowout of the year is happening now at Ashley. Save up to 70% off special purchases and doorbusters and overstocks at discounts like never before. This is the big one. 60-month special financing with low monthly payments only at Ashley.
Madison has a $22 million budget gap and a big ask for local voters. I'll have city officials break down the question you'll see on next month's ballot and the impact your vote could have. 3 for the People, Monday at 10.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Israeli officials say its troops have killed Hamas's top leader in a military operation in Gaza. Confirmation of the death coming from Israel's foreign minister following DNA testing. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said evil suffered a heavy blow, but the war is not over. Last month, the Justice Department charged Yahya Sinwar and other Hamas figures, saying they financed and directed and oversaw a campaign to murder and U.S. citizens and endanger U.S. national security interests by orchestrating killings and kidnappings.
Justice has been served, and the United States, Israel, and the entire world are better off as a result.
The October 7th attacks that killed more than 1,200 Israelis and launched the war against Hamas that has now killed 42,000 Palestinians, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. An independent panel of former law enforcement officials lambasted the Secret Service for its handling of security at the Trump campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary appointed them to review the agency's role in the security failures that led to the assassination attempt. The panel says the Secret Service has become more complacent and static, even though risks have multiplied, and attributed most of the concerns to the agency's do more with less culture. The panelists believe a complete overhaul of leadership is needed. The Biden administration approves another round of student debt relief. This cycle will impact more than 60,000 public sector workers and looks to eliminate $4.5 billion. The borrowers qualify for debt relief through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, created nearly 2 decades ago, but the Biden administration has expanded it to make it easier to qualify.
You know, I know some people say they took out those loans. That was their choice. It's their problem. You know, I don't see it that way. These people borrowed the same amount as other students, but they chose to take lower salaries in order to give something back. And as a result, in many cases, they have trouble paying for their loans.
Since taking office, the president has canceled now more than $175 billion of debt for nearly 5 million people. That's about 11% of all outstanding federal student loan debt. Early estimates indicate that Hurricane Milton could be one of the top 10 costliest storms in U.S. history. The research firm CoreLogic estimates damages as high as $34 billion. The bulk of those losses are from wind damage due to the unusual nature of the storm. Uninsured flood damage estimated to be about $4 to $6 billion, and those numbers are far less than the estimated $47.5 billion in damages from Hurricane Helene. Well, winter is coming. That's according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's projections. And last year, the national climate pattern known as El Nino, in addition to warming due to fossil fuel pollution, brought warmer winters in the South with much less snow in the Northeast and Midwest. This year, its counterpart, La Nina, could bring a warmer and drier season for the South and wetter conditions for the Mid and Pacific Northwest. But no 2 La Nina winters are the same, and their strength matters. The Climate Prediction Center forecasts this one to be a weaker event.
We would expect a more variable weather pattern. So you could go from warm and wet to cold and dry in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks.
Ultimately, climate experts say Mother Nature will have the final say in how dry this winter will be. A home in suburban Chicago skipping Halloween for a touching tribute to a dying woman who loves Christmas. Voices of holiday cheer outside a home on a warm fall day in Antioch, the festive gathering, all for a woman loved by many, watching from a nearby window. Jamie Haley is in the final stages of her life, with hospice coming daily. But with all this love pouring in, Jamie remains grateful and positive.
When it's your time, accept that. It's God's will, and just be happy in the moments that you have.
She just has that giving heart of Christmas that you can feel in the summer.
That's so nice, honey.
Listen, I told you.
So nice.
You're super special.
And if you'd like to pay the Christmas spirit forward, the family asks you to consider donating to Penny's Purpose in Antioch. They make comfort quilts for those in need, and made one for Jamie. Our temperatures will continue to be warm through the weekend. It's looking pretty good. Here's meteorologist Jacob Madison for when this streak of highs might end. Jacob?
Yeah, as we look at the 3 things you need to know, the first one is that we're going to see highs in the 70s for the weekend, and we also are expecting dry conditions to continue. Now, we do have a small chance of rain by the time we get to Tuesday, but at this point in time, that rain chance does look to be very unlikely. Now, as we look at the forecast for tonight, we're once again going to see clear skies, but temperatures will be not as cold compared to the last couple nights. We'll see lows in the lower 40s. A few areas may drop into the upper 30s, but our entire region will be warmer, and that's going to be the case for tomorrow, as a few locations could hit the lower 70s. We'll see mostly sunny skies with highs mostly in the upper 60s, but still going to see a few areas creep up to that 70-degree mark, and it's only going to get warmer from there. Now, here's a look at the jet stream pattern we're going to see throughout the weekend. cold air all up in Canada. Could see some chilly temperatures in the Mountain West, but Wisconsin, especially places south and east of us as well, we'll see that warm air. But as we get into early to middle next week, we'll start to see some of that cooler air dip back down, but we're still expecting temperatures to be above average when we get to that point. So here's a look at the high temperatures the next 10 days. Middle 70s are in the forecast for Sunday and Monday. Now this is going to dip back down with highs possibly in the upper 50s by next Tuesday, but notice the normal line, that those 50s are still going to be above that. The average high right now, 59. By the end of the 10-day forecast, it'll be 55. So any day in the 60s will be above average, and pretty soon upper 50s will still be above average. So definitely take advantage of these 70s while you can, because they're going to be few and far between going forward. Now, as far as rainfall goes, this is the amount of rainfall we're expecting the next 7 days. Again, like I mentioned earlier, small chance of rain on Tuesday, but notice that we're only going to see about 1/10 of an inch at most, and this continues to be the story. And with the drought monitor releasing today, it shows even more areas getting worse. Specifically in far southern Wisconsin, there is now a severe drought starting to develop, and the moderate drought has really expanded across the area, and all of Wisconsin now under at least abnormally dry conditions. So unfortunately, the dry weather is going to continue, and we would like to see a little bit more rainfall. But moving that aside, I mean, it's going to be a very, very nice weekend with highs in the 70s and plenty of sunshine. Could be a little bit breezy at times. That'll kind of be the only hiccup in the forecast. But other than that, definitely enjoy the weather, because although we're going to be cooler, we're still going to be above average. But the fact that the 60s are above average are a sign showing that the 70s are not going to stick around much longer. So as far as rainfall goes, really only a small chance Tuesday, and then a little small chance for next weekend.
And coming up in sports, welcome to Locktober. How Braden Locke and his teammates feel about him taking over the month. That's next on News 3 Now.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Make your tailgate tail great at Hy-Vee. Pork spare ribs, $1.49 a pound. Bone-in pork shoulder roast, $1.48 a pound. And select pork chops, 99 cents. Save in-store and online, Friday through Sunday, only at Hy-Vee.
Eric Hovde has a problem with the truth. Time and again, his ads have been called false. He's a desperate candidate, willing to say anything. But here's what's true. Eric Hovde has a plan to slash Social Security 28%, Medicare 25%, veterans benefits 40%, all to spend $4 trillion on tax breaks for rich guys like himself. Eric Hovde's lying, and he's not for us.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
With Chevy trucks, be ready for adventure. With power you can count on. Capability that doesn't compromise. A hard-working EV with more range than any competitor, and the potential to take you anywhere.
Get 0% financing plus make no monthly payments for 90 days on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Or get $5,750 total value on this Silverado.
See your Badgerland Chevy dealer today.
Are record high energy costs putting a squeeze on your fixed or limited incomes? While you haven't asked for it, the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund and your local energy assistance providers are here to help. No Wisconsin resident should ever have to face the challenge of living without heat or power or face homelessness. For a hand up, apply today.
Stanton Optical believes eye care should be affordable. Right now, for only $135, you get 2 pairs of progressives, plus all this. All that costs over $200 everywhere else. Book your eye exam today. Stanton Optical, easy's our thing. Welcome to Too Good to Guess. Can you guess how much 2 pairs of progressives, a free eye exam, and anti-glare lens upgrade will cost at Stanton Optical? Only $135? Wow, a deal so good, every customer wins. Book your eye exam at Stanton Optical today.
This is a hallway. Doesn't evoke much feeling. But to those facing cancer or a complex condition, it feels like relief. Because all the doctors, treatments, and technology you've been fighting to find, they're all right here, under one roof, connected by hallways. instead of highways. East Park Medical Center, coming soon. UW Health, remarkable.
Make your tailgate tail great at Hy-Vee. Pork spare ribs, $1.49 a pound. Bone-in pork shoulder roast, $1.48 a pound. And select pork chops, 99 cents. Save in-store and online, Friday through Sunday, only at Hy-Vee.
After dropping their first Big Ten match of the season, Badger volleyball has rattled off 5 straight sweeps. But none of those teams are at the level of what's coming to the Fieldhouse. On Friday, it's a date with Oregon for Wisconsin, a team they faced just 3 other times. Now, the last meeting was last year with a trip to the Final Four on the line. The Badgers won that match and admit facing the Ducks this early in the year feels a little different.
It feels weird mainly because we just played them, you know, and that the last time we played them it was to go to the Final Four, and that was a really big game, and it feels weird that we're playing them now in the middle of our season for conference.
That was one of my favorite games, and the amount of pressure that we're putting behind the service line and the way we were able to handle that and resist made me so excited for what's coming.
Braden Locke has a couple different nicknames, B-Lock, Lulu Lock, but once the calendar turned to October, Wisconsin's QB1 took over the month, and around Camp Randall, October is now known as Locktober. And for good reason. Locke has thrown for 599 yards and 4 touchdowns this month, and more importantly, he's led the Badgers to 2 wins. As far as his new nickname goes, Locktober is growing on him.
Yeah, I've heard about that. At this point, I'm kind of leaning into it. I mean, that's all I've been hearing around the building. But, like I said, it's one game at a time. It's a week-to-week focus. That's the thing about success is, you got to continue to work hard to keep having it.
He keeps balling. He can have whatever he wants. He can have all of October. He can have November. I'll give it all. He keeps doing his thing. He can have it.
Well, the Packers welcome the Texans to Lambeau Field this Sunday, where 2 high-powered offenses will be on display. Houston's coming off a 41-point performance and has weapons all over the field. So does Green Bay. And Jordan Love knows there's a good chance this game could be a track meet on the scoreboard.
Definitely not trying to turn that over, but, you got another good offense coming in here, and, that they're going to make plays as well. So we just got to go out there, handle business, do our job, and like we try and do every week, try and put up as many points as possible, and like I said, take care of the ball. But, 2 good teams, you got to go out there and play your best is what it comes down to.
And we're back after this.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
Get an 11% rebate on Masterforce tools now at Menards. Finish your projects faster with a new Masterforce 20-volt chainsaw. It offers quieter and more efficient performance. Now only $119.99 after rebate. Stay comfortable on the job with a Masterforce 20-volt portable 60,000 BTU propane heater. It heats an area up to 1,350 square feet with ultra-quiet operation. Buy one now for only $139.99 after 11% rebate.
Save big money at Menards.
A flood of illegals, skyrocketing prices, global chaos, and Kamala wouldn't change a thing.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Nothing will change with Kamala. More weakness, more war, more welfare for illegals, and even more taxes. Only President Trump cut middle-class taxes, and only President Trump will do it again.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
It seems like everyone in Washington is either too far left or too far right. I'm Rebecca Cook, and like most folks in Wisconsin, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'll stand up to Democrats to fight for a secure border and stop wasteful spending. I'll stand up to extremists like Derek Van Orden, who wants to ban all abortions with no exceptions. Like you, I'm fed up and ready for change. I approve this message because it's time that we sent one of us to Congress.
These Baldwin ads are nasty.
I can't stand them.
She never tells the truth. Now she says Eric Hovde wants to raise the retirement age.
That's malarkey.
I saw in the news Social Security will be going bankrupt in 8 years.
Are you kidding? We need Social Security.
You're surprised? Washington spends money like crazy.
And Baldwin supports all of it.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message.
You better get a job.
You get a job.
We hold the most powerful tool to make democracy work for Black Americans, and that's our vote. Registering to vote takes less than 10 minutes. Help protect democracy. Go to myvote.wisconsin.gov to check your voter registration status. In-person absentee voting begins Tuesday, October 22nd. City of Beloit buses will provide free rides on Election Day. Let's be all in and vote on November 5th.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
The Final Drive high school football coverage, Fridays at 10.
The hit show that is American Democracy is rapidly approaching what could be its dramatic series finale.
Well, there's new with Bob Woodward tonight on CBS.
We've had a lot of things to look at in the sky this week, and keep it up there. The full moon is a supermoon. The term describes a full moon closer to Earth than normal. Experts say the orb may appear 8% larger and 16% brighter than an average full moon. Tonight's event, called the Hunter's Moon as well, which is the first full moon after the autumnal equinox. Meanwhile, the Beaver Moon, I haven't heard of that one, November 15th, that'll be the fourth and final supermoon of the year. You know all this, right? The meteorology department, you get all these moons on the wall in there.
I wish I could say yes, but I'll be honest, no.
Clear skies, though, right?
Oh, yeah, we're going to see
Beautiful
clear
night.
skies. We've had a lot of treats in the skies some of these nights in southern Wisconsin. Tonight, more clear skies, and that's going to continue through the weekend with warm temperatures, highs in the 70s. Enjoy the weather.
Yeah, good weekend coming. Thanks for joining us, folks. Have a good night.